Okay. The CCSB training course, it is divided into 6 modules. Module number 1, it is the architecture concepts and design requirements. Module number 2, cloud data security. Module number 3, cloud platform and infrastructure security. Module number 4, cloud application security. Module number 5, security operations. Module number 6 is the laws, legal, and compliance. As you can see, the ISC square, they divide, or they split the cloud security into different areas or categories for the data, platform and infrastructure, application, operations, and legal and compliance. We will have one module in each domain. We will have 6 domains, and we will have 6 chapters in this course, and each chapter, it will cover one of these domains. Let's start with the first module, architecture concepts and design architecture, design requirements. Before going further, I want to ask you a question. What is the architecture? Usually we are hearing architecture. What is architecture? Unfortunately, this word, it's not clear for us. What is architecture? What does it mean?
Architecture is more like a blueprint, actually, which encompasses all the touch points and all the systems, and tries to tell to the organization how does the data actually flow.
Is it related only to data or to application or infrastructure or business requirements or what?
It depends, actually. You could have a kind of a application architecture. You could have an architecture for infrastructure. I think all of them put together, you could have an enterprise-wide architecture also.
When you mean that the architecture, it is a view for the organization or for a specific solution, including data, infrastructure, applications, security, and so on.
You could have architectures for different things, and then you could also have them all as an enterprise-wide also.
Okay, look, gentlemen, architecture, it is very simple. Architecture, as Prem he mentioned, it's a blueprint, but this blueprint, it is not related to a specific area. Or in other words, generally, you will find that there are a lot of architecture models as TOGAF or Zachman or whatever, and these are consists of layers. This means that when you are looking for a solution, then whatever your position or your goal in the company, you have to understand it, and you have to understand how it is working. If you are upper management or top management, when you are caring about objectives and business, then you will find the architecture, it's concerned on the business layer. And this layer, it is one of the architecture popular layers. When the business layers, what is the business layers? What are your objectives of this application? Suppose that you will do an application, you want to develop an application. Then, what are the requirements? The requirements that I want to develop a payroll application, and this application, it must be able to monitor or to print the payroll slips and managing taxes and to be provided to government and whatever these requirements. Then the second layer, it will be what will be the applications or the platform it will be used. Then, although now we are speaking our business, but we move to another area, which it will be the developers, how they will see this application, because the business, it will see this application in totally different from the point of view of the developer. Developer, they would see it as .NET or Oracle database, SQL database, whatever the programs which they will use it, or programming language which they will use it. Then, when we go to the infrastructure, they will tell you, sorry, gentlemen, I don't care about .NET and Oracle and all this stuff. What I understand, what are the number of servers, number of switches, number of storage, what is the size of the storage, and so on. Then the security people, they will tell you, okay, I have a layer to secure all these infrastructure. Then, by the end of the day, when we are saying architecture, that the architecture, it is a blueprint which it will show you the objective from different perspectives, from different point of views. It may be top management, business, it may be security, it may be application, it may be developer, it may be hardware, whatever it is. This number one. Also, the architecture, it will help you that you can split the large picture into small building blocks. For example, when we are speaking about security, did you hear about something called SAPSA? Did you hear about something called SAPSA?
Yes.
What is SAPSA?
I do not know exactly what SAPSA is, but I've heard about this term SAPSA.
SAPSA, it is a security architecture model. In secure, it is dedicated for security. It will take the full picture of organization security and it will start to split it into small building blocks. These small building blocks, why? Because now if you will have a look on a security posture in your company, it is very complicated, very complicated. You may have multiple firewalls, multiple IPS, multiples IDS, multiples VPN SSL, multiples desktop or endpoint security. You have tens of components. How these components are working together and how, for example, the authentication or access control it's working. And how, if you want to buy a new product, what are the security requirements and so on. Then in the architecture, what it will do, it will split this picture of security into small building blocks. These building blocks, what it will do, in this case, it will do a very simple thing. It will study the building block itself. It will study the building block itself, how it will be integrated with the other components, security components, and how it will be integrated with other applications. For example, I have in my company Active Directory, Microsoft Active Directory. Then the Active Directory, it is working as Kerberos. Then when I want to buy an application, I have to make sure that this application it's working and it's compatible with Kerberos. It will support Kerberos, because if it's not supporting Kerberos, it's working as SAML or whatever only, then this means that it will not be able to be integrated in the access control solution of the company. Then when you will split these complicated security posture of your company into small building blocks, you will be able to understand the building block itself. When we say access control, then the access control, we need to understand what are the rules, how you will provision the user, how to deprovision the user, how you can remove or review the permission and rights, how you can enable 2FA and all this stuff. When you are understanding the building block itself. Next thing, how these building blocks, it will communicate with each other. How the access control, it will be able to, access control solution, it will be able to communicate with a SIM solution, for example, or with the logging solution do you have in your company. It may be syslog server or whatever, and so on. Also, if you want to integrate other hardware components, switches, firewalls, maybe applications, maybe other middleware or whatever, how these applications, it should be communicate with the security modules. It must have secure protocols, it must have secure services, how they will be communicate together, and so on. This which we call it architecture. This which we call it architecture. Okay. In the architecture concept and design, we will cover all these modules, and we will start with the first module for cloud computing. The cloud computing definition is very important because when we will work together through this module, I will show you that you can understand the concept of the cloud computing from the definition of itself. What is the cloud computing definition? Cloud computing, it's a model for enable, forget about conflict and repetitions, this it will not make any difference, on-demand network access. On-demand network access to a shared pool of configurable computer resources that can be rapidly provisioned and released with minimal management efforts or service provider interaction. This definition is from NIST 800-145, and this is very important, gentlemen. Why? Because from this definition, which is mentioned in NIST SB 800-145, we can understand or we can find out what are the important characteristics of the cloud. Not all the solutions are cloud solutions. In some situation, if a cloud solution, it will not be able to provide these characteristics, then it is not a pure cloud solution. For example, if I am not able to provision a server myself as a user to log into a website and I say I want to create a server with so-and-so memory, so-and-so processor, so-and-so storage, and the cloud service provider is telling me, I'm really sorry, you will not be able to do this. You have to send me a request and I have to do it for you. Wait, this is not acceptable. This is not a cloud service. Why? Because one of the characteristics of the cloud service, as we can see here, minimal management effort. And this it will be automatic. You have to log in to a browser and browser management software. You will be able to provision a server and you start immediately to use this server. As you can see that on-demand network of a shared pool of resources. When it is on-demand network, when you require this network, it's available. When you require this network, it is available. And it is shared pool of computer resources. We have multiple, or we have thousands of processors, we have terabytes of RAM, we have terabytes of storage, and the first customer, he can take a specific server with a specific configuration. As one, he can take multiple servers, and third one, he can take other servers, and so on. But now the characteristics of the cloud. Number one, it's on-demand network. Number two, it has a shared pool of resources. Number three, rapidly provisioning with minimal management efforts. There is no need that you have to send a request to the cloud service provider for leasing some storage or servers or what. No, I don't need this. This is very simple. I can do it within few minutes by open a browser. I can log into the management plan and I can define that I need a specific server with a specific configuration. That's it, and it's up and running. These are the characteristics of the cloud computing. These are the characteristics of the cloud compute. Okay. In this screen, gentlemen, you will find a lot of definitions. Of course, I will not go through all these definitions. Sorry, I will go. These are a lot of definitions for the cloud computing. In the cloud ISC square cloud computing course, you will find that they are explaining all these expressions. But I think this is not the right approach, because now if I want to explain all these concepts for you, it will be very complicated, and unfortunately you will get confused. When I tell you multi-tenancy, IaaS, BaaS, SaaS, SaaS, BaaS, this it will be really complicated. Then usually I'm telling my trainees, please consider this as your reference. When we will finish this module, go back to this slide and check. Do you understand the concept? Because within the next few slides, we will spend more than 1 hour explaining the difference between public, private, community, and hybrid cloud. And we'll spend another half an hour explaining the difference between IaaS, BaaS, and SaaS. Then what is the resource pooling? What is the reversibility? And so on. And all this information, it will be covered. Then there is no need to make life difficult. Let's do it step by step. Consider this slide as a reference for you, just a reference for you. Okay. There is one important topic in the CCSP, and when you read it, you will find that it is very difficult and you will not be able to understand this. And you have to memorize it. Frankly speaking, you have to memorize it. Why? Because you will not be, you don't understand what do they want from it. But I will try to make it very simple. These are the rules which are mentioned by the ISC square. These are the rules which you must have in your organization if you want to work with the cloud. Okay? I will enable my iPad to explain this to you. Can you see my whiteboard? Can you see my whiteboard now?
Yes, we can see it. I can see it, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, that's great. Then let's check what are the rules or cloud computing rules. Let's take it step by step in a very simple way. Number one, we have the cloud service customer. In some situations, we call it CSC. What is the cloud service customer? Cloud service customer, this is the customer who is using the service. Okay, then suppose that I want to access Office 365. I am a company, my name is ID Certificates, and I want to access my cloud, the Office 365 to make subscription to 365. Then who is cloud service customer here? It is IT Certificates. Okay. There is another rule which usually it will confuse you. What is this rule? Cloud service user. Cloud service user. What is the difference between cloud service customer and the cloud service user?
User is the one who's using the service.
Sorry?
User is the one who's using the service, like let's say IT department, for example, who has access to Office 365.
And who is the customer?
Their customer will be the user who are using email, for example.
Okay, this is right, but I will make it very simple. Customer, he is the one who is paying the money, not the user. IT certificate, it is the company which it will pay the cloud service provider the money, the bill. But when we say the cloud user, this is the user who is using the service. It may be, for example, Osama. I want to use Word, PowerPoint, and email. Okay, then now we have two rules. Look, it's very easy. We have the cloud service customer, we have the cloud service rule. Fine. What is the other rule? The other rule, of course, it will make sense that we would say it is the cloud service provider who provide you the service. Can you tell me what is the name of cloud service provider here in our example?
Azure.
Okay, here it's Microsoft. Okay, great. Now we covered 3 out of 6. What is the next one? Okay, the next one, it is a little bit complicated, but we will try to make it very easy. How? Look, gentlemen, not all the services you may be able to get from the same cloud service provider. In some situation, you don't have any data centers in your company at all. And you want to enable IAM or access control. You want to enable access control where it has the username, passwords, permissions, which we call it AAA, authentication, authorization, and accounting. Authorization, authentication, and accounting. If you want to enable these services, you knew from one of your consultant that there is a cloud service provider which is called, for example, IAM Professional or AAA Professional, for example. This is the name of the cloud service provider. They are specialized in access control solution. They are not provide anything other than access control solution. They have very strong infrastructure, very secure infrastructure, and we have a good record about their security, and they never be hacked before. Then you said, okay, Microsoft, it may be a little bit targeted by the hackers, and I'm not sure that our IAM or access control, it will be secure. I want to use this cloud service provider, which is called AAA Professional for authentication and authorization. Then you will have this cloud service, which it is called AAA Professional to handle your access control. Then whatever any username and password for you, it will be hosted in this cloud service with AAA. Then if you want to access any service, you have the cloud service provider or Microsoft, we have to check with the cloud service, yani how it will work, to understand how it will work. Let me choose a different color. If I want to access a service, I want to access a service here. I want to access Word, for example. Then the cloud service provider, it will ask me for my information, username and password. I will send it, username and password. I will send credential. The cloud service provider, it will communicate with the AAA Professional. It will send this credential and it will ask him, is it okay? Is it right? If it's right, it will tell him yes. Then this means that the cloud service provider, it will give the customer the access. Look here, although the information, it is not in the cloud service provider, but it will be able to access it. Why? Because you define for the cloud service provider that I am using the cloud service AAA professional as my IAM or access control. This, what we call it, gentlemen, broker, cloud service broker. It will break the connection between the cloud service customer and cloud service provider. Why? Because they hear this, it will be able to communicate together, and this it will be able to communicate together. Of course, the access control, it's one of the services. We may have hundreds of services which it can be used by a broker. It may be SIM solution, maybe logging, maybe whatever. Think about it. But what is a broker? Broker, it's really complicated. People, they don't understand what is broker, what I can do is broker. Gentlemen, broker, it's very simple. It is another cloud service provider. It will provide you a service, and this service, it will be accessed through the cloud service customer and the cloud service provider. Both of them, they will be able to access. Then all of them, they are work as single entity. All of them, they will work as a single entity. Okay, great. Now we finished 4 rules. What other rules do we have? We have another rule.
I have a question here.
Sure, go ahead.
So it's for the cloud service customer, whether he will be having interaction only with the cloud service broker, or whether he will also interact with the cloud service provider, wherever there is a broker involved. So the interaction with the cloud service customer is only with the broker or with the cloud service provider also?
It depends. Because if in our situation here, this it is only for access control. When the access control, if I need authentication or authorization, I have to communicate with the cloud service broker. But usually when the cloud service customer, he want to access a service, he have to communicate direct, as we mentioned here. You have to ask here, you can see this, I'm trying to make it bold. You have to ask the provider directly.
Okay.
When the provider, it will ask the cloud service provider. But when the cloud service customer want something from the broker, if you want to add a new user, if you want to remove user, if you want to change username and password, and so on. Then how the cloud customer, he will communicate with the broker, it depends upon the data flow. He may need, for example, let me tell you another example. Suppose that the cloud service broker, he will do encryption for the data. Then if you want to do encryption, then the cloud customer, he have to send the data to the broker to be encrypted, then the broker send it to the provider. And the provider, he can decrypt. Then provider, he can send it to the broker, and broker, he can send it to the cloud service customer, and so on. Then how they will communicate this, it will not make any difference. This, because of that, you will find that I put here the arrows like that. The only thing which is important for you to understand that the broker, he will provide a service for both of them. And they will be access from both of them. Okay? Right. What is the other rule? The other rule, it is the cloud auditor. I think you are familiar with the cloud auditor. These auditors who are checking the existing infrastructure, existing policies and rules, and make sure that we are matching the organization policies and rules and best practices, right? And of course, this will be usually related into the service provider. Of course, I will not make an audit for the customer. I will make an audit for the cloud service provider. Maybe also cloud for broker, maybe. Okay, then this is the cloud auditor, the one who will make the auditing. Here, you may ask me, I know that we have two persons who are interested in auditor. Is it internal? Is it external? I don't care. Here, it's not mentioned by CCSP. It may be internal. It is the same organization, my company, and I want to audit the cloud service provider to make sure that they are follow the best practices in protecting their infrastructure, or it may be an external cloud service provider, external auditor who want to audit the cloud service provider to provide them a certificate that they have a secure infrastructure, or to provide SOC 1, SOC 2, SOC 3 reports, for example. Then I don't, this is not an issue, which the type of auditor it's not mentioned. Then it is a cloud auditor. Okay? The last rule, which we have it is very simple. What is it? It is the cloud service partner. What is the partner? Your partner. This is the partner which it will help the organization to do their exercises. They provide them servers, they provide them services, they provide them applications or whatever. And there may be partner for the customer or a partner for the cloud service provider. For the cloud service provider, their partner, it will provide them the servers, the hosts, the virtualization software, the applications, the communication lines, the network devices, network lines, and so on. For the partner of the cloud service provider, they may provide them the consultancy, which cloud service provider is better for them, and so on. Then the partner is the company which provides you the services for your organization. Do you have any questions? These are the rules. Believe me, gentlemen, they are very easy as we explain it now. But really, when you read it in the book, it will be very confusing. What is broker? Especially, you will find 5 or 6 lines about the cloud service broker. But when you have it in more details, it will be very simple.
So I have a question over there. I know the cloud service brokerage, the CSB, right? I know it's just a role, or it's a business model, right, between the cloud service customer or the provider. So who actually implements that CSB? Is that something that the customer has to put in, or the cloud service providers like Azure, Google, AWS, they put in between the customers? Who actually implements that model, the CSB, the cloud service brokerage? Who owns it?
There is no, it depends. We don't have a fixed answer here. It depends. In some situation, you may not need a service broker at all.
Okay.
You have all the solutions from single cloud service provider with Azure, for example. You are happy with that, and all the services is great, and everything is running fine. In some other situation, you will say, no, we need something more sophisticated than the service which is provided by the Azure. We may need another cloud service provider, which it will provide me more sophisticated service. Then I will have the cloud service broker. Who will provide it? It is the customer, of course, because he's the one who is paying for it.
Okay.
For example, if I am a private sector and organization, it's okay for me. Azure, it will be great. But if I'm military service, I would say no, not all the service from Azure it will be enough for me. I need more sophisticated access controls. I need more sophisticated incident management. I need more sophisticated SIM solution, and so on. Then in this case, I need a cloud service broker. But of course, I have to arrange with the cloud service provider, because if the cloud service provider will not be able to provide me the proper APIs, which it will be integrated or it will be interfaced with the cloud service broker, then the service, it will not work.
Got it, yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Are the services very easy? As you can see, this is very easy.
Osama, I have a follow-up question. So, how do you actually distinguish between then a partner and a broker? Because I think sometimes a partner could also do the role of a broker, right? So what is the thin line difference between a partner and a broker?
Partner and a broker.
Yes, because both, because a partner is an entity which can be between the cloud service customer and the provider. And
Okay.
then as you were explaining for a broker, let's say for the identity access management that is being done by the broker. So
Okay.
how is it very different between the partner and the broker? I mean to say both are trying to, I mean to say partner could do multiple
By the
services.
way, partner and the broker, we are not similar, and we are not doing the exercise of each other's.
Yeah.
Why?
So if I'm allowed,
Yes,
I think.
go ahead.
Yeah, Prem. So think about your how do you access your Oracle services, right? You through a web browser and the cloud platform, right? So the cloud platform itself can be called as a broker. Or we have third-party services like Jamcracker or like maybe the control center. There's so many. It could be an actual third-party provider or maybe a software service, or it could be the cloud itself can provide a broker. So for us, like for Google, we call cloud platform, that itself is a broker where we set all our IAM roles and everything, right? So that's my understanding. But cloud service provider is completely different. So if you want to get some third-party software integrated, so the cloud should have the partnership. Then only we can. Usually the marketplace, right? So we go to marketplace and buy the softwares, the services from third parties. So there is a cloud service providers. I mean the partners.
Okay, let me put it in easier way.
Yeah.
A partner, you will, in other words, what we can say, without the partner, you will not be able to do your exercise. I need servers, I need systems, I need applications, I need the communication, whatever. But the broker, no. Broker, I can do whatever I want. I don't need any of the broker. Broker, he will integrate, he will complete my services. It will be integrate. He will complete my services. Yani, for example, I want to provide authentication. I'm already providing the authentication, but the broker, he will provide me more sophisticated service. Without the broker, I can work. But with the broker, this it will be nice to have. Cloud service customer, he must know about the broker. He must know about the broker because this is a different entity which he is communicating with. But usually he does not know anything about the cloud service partner. I don't care about the cloud service partner. I don't need to know about the service partner. For example, Microsoft, we have a relation with Oracle to provide them with Sun machines, for example. That's fine. I don't care. When I say that cloud service provider, we have a broker to provide additional services, then the cloud service customer, we have to know about this cloud service broker. When the cloud service broker, we are providing the additional services to the cloud service provider. But the partner, they are mandatory and they provide the main services for the cloud service provider. As you mentioned, in some situation, cloud service broker, we can consider them as partner, but this is minimum. When we are saying, okay, I don't want to make life very difficult in my infrastructure. As you know, in Saudi Arabia, for example, we had the NCA regulations, which is called National Cybersecurity Authority. They said that you are not allowed to publish any critical data outside Saudi Arabia border. When they start the cloud service, they start to develop some cloud service provider inside Saudi Arabia. It's not easy to do it, and this it will need millions and a large investment. Then, if you want to make all the services in the cloud service provider, this it will be very expensive. But what we are doing now, we are trying to have a cloud service provider with some services and other sophisticated service, maybe distributed with other vendors or other brokers, when they will be integrated with. When in this case, yes, it is a partner, because without the service of the broker, authentication, for example, it is not allowed. Then in this case, it will be as a form of a partner. Okay. if you are asking this question for understanding the concept, that's fine. If you are asking this question for the exam, drop it. It will not make any difference. Just to understand the difference between both of them, it will be great. Okay?
Okay.
Mr. Osama, I have a question here.
Sure.
What about the partner for, let's say, for Microsoft itself? Microsoft is a cloud service provider, and they have a partner who distributes their work. Are they in any way
Okay, I got your point.
this,
You
4
mean
or
a
6
partner who
roles?
is helping them in distributing their services in a different country or different location as happening in
Yes.
Saudi Arabia?
Yes, or helping them, or speak on their behalf, for example.
Yes, you are right. This is a good example, Wakil. Gentlemen, this is a good example, and I'm not sure if you are familiar with, because the situation in Saudi Arabia may be different than in Saudi Arabia, but I will explain it to you. As I mentioned to you, that the NCA regulation mandates that you will not be able to host any data outside Saudi Arabia. Then we are not able to use Azure or anything until they have their infrastructure in Saudi Arabia. And this, of course, it will take a time, and we are not able to do it. The cloud service provider or international cloud service provider, they do. They are making some agreements with internal cloud service providers, or which they were as internet service provider before then, and they will provide them the services. And Microsoft, they will say, okay, we will provide you all our services, but these services, it will be hosted inside Saudi Arabia at a specific company. You will be able to use their infrastructure, and we will support them totally, and so on. If this is a partner, you are right. Without this company, you will not be able to utilize their services. Then yes, it's a partner. It's a partner. Okay?
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Almost working. Okay. You remember, gentlemen, when we were explaining the definition of the cloud, I told you it is very important to understand the cloud definition. You are experts in the cloud. Don't give any chance to any salesman to come and play with you and tell you, we have a cloud so and so. And when you will make a study for his infrastructure, you will find that it's a managed service. It's not a cloud. Then, what are the characteristics of the cloud? If any of these characteristics, it's not achieved, then it's not a cloud. Number one, on-demand self-service. Login. Open your browser, open management plane for cloud service provider. You will be able to provision any service, server, hardware, software, memory, application, whatever. But if he will tell you, no, I'm really sorry, please send me an email and I have to do it for you, this is not cloud. This can be managed service or whatever. Then characteristic number one, on-demand self-service. On-demand self-service. Characteristic number two, broad network access. And this, the characteristic which I like it very much. Frankly speaking, I like it very much. Although it is very difficult for security people. Why? Because broad network access, whatever you want to use from end user devices, you can use it. You want to use mobile, you want to use tablet, you want to use iOS, you want to use Android, you want to use Mac, you want to use Microsoft, you want to use desktop, you want to use whatever, just mention. You will be able to use it. It may be native application where they will provide you an application to install it on your device, or it can be accessed through the browser. Then this it will provide you a great flexibility, broad network access from any location. Any location, I don't care. Yeah, for example, if I have a company, for example, now we have in my company, we have 5 international regions. We have MEA, we have America, we have rest of China, we have Great China, we have Europe. whatever, I don't care, wherever you are, I can post my application. You will be able to access it from any location, and it will be secure based on my configuration and my security controls. This what we call it broad network access. The third characteristics, it is a resource pooling. What is resource pooling? To make life easy, gentlemen, I don't want to be confused here. If you are not familiar with infrastructures, what we mean resource pooling? When we say it is processors, memory, storage, switches, load balancers, so on and so, it is not magic. It is not magic. What do we mean? Very easy. For example, if we want to say that it is resource pooling, you may have 100 servers, but they are not called server. They are called hosts, 100 hosts. These hosts, by the end of the day, they are servers, but with a high end configuration. It may have 20 processors. It may have memory 1 terabyte or 2 terabyte or 3 terabyte. Storage, it is outside storage, it is SAN storage. It may be, we have 5 or 6 storage devices. Each storage we have 60 or 100 terabyte, when total maybe 500, 600 terabyte. These are what we call it resource poolings. Then these the devices, as we'll see later in virtualization, we will be able to take this virtual machine and we can split it into multiple virtual servers, and each server, it will be dedicated for one cloud customer server user, and he can use it. Okay, then this we call it resource pooling. We have servers, we have, and it's not only servers, because you can find load balancer. What is a load balancer? Load balancer, if you have 2 servers and you want to distribute the load between the 2 servers, you must have a load balancer. This load balancer, again, you can render this service from a cloud service provider. It can be DNS, it can be DHCP, it can be whatever, any service. These are services by the end of the day, and they are huge services which it can split virtually, and with small pieces, it can be distributed across the cloud services. Okay. The other characteristics, rapid plasticity, and this is really a good feature. To understand this one, let me give you an example. If you want to have a new infrastructure for a new application, what you have to do? You have to make a characteristics. You have to define what are the required hardware, servers, request RF, request for information, RFI, then RFB, then it have to go to the purchasing department. The purchasing department, we have to make a tender, and it may take 1 or 2 or 3 months till the tender it will be finished, and it will take another 3 months till the components it will be delivered, and the engineers, they will come and make the installation in your own organization. Then usually it will take between 6 to 8 months till you will be able to run a new application, which is infrastructure. And this, of course, it can be 6 months, it can be less. It depends upon the size of the equipment and the availability of the equipment. But with the cloud service provider, the scenario, it's totally different. I remember one of my customer, he was running an application on Windows, I think, and we were discussing about Linux, and he told me, yes, I can, by the way, this application, it is, I developed this application in home, and I can make a version, runtime version over Linux. I told him this, it will be better and it will be faster and so on. He said, okay, I want to make a test environment. I told him this is a good idea, just try it. After 2 days, he called me, by the way, and he said, hey, by the way, I like this very much, and I think to migrate the application into Linux. I asked him, come on, did you make the test within 2 days? You mentioned that you don't have Linux in your company. Then how did you do it? He said, I looked on the a cloud service provider. I provisioned a server with a Linux version, and I download the application, and I create another server as a desktop, and I was able to test it within the 2 days, and everything. Then here we rapid elasticity. Also, there is another point which I don't know if you will be familiar with or not, but I will try to explain it. If you did not catch it, we will explain it in more details later. In some situation, you may have your own server. This server, it's 1 terabyte RAM, and it is 10 terabyte storage and preprocessor. Everything is running fine, you are happy, and everything it's great. But for some reasons, there may be you announce a discount, and usually you are expecting 200 or 300 transactions per day, but because you announce for a discount, you are receiving 1,000 transactions per day. Then the server, it will not be able to handle all this. What will happen? The server, it will hang. But with the cloud, you can upgrade the server. And instead of 1 terabyte RAM, it can be upgraded into 2 terabyte automatically, dynamic. When the number of records increased or transactions, concurrent transaction increase than 300, increase the number of processors into two processor or 3 processor or 4 processor, and increase the memory into 2 terabyte, and so on. If it's more than that, again, automatically the resources will be upgraded. Fine. What will happen if the discounts it's over? When the discount's over, this means that the number of normal transactions, it will be only 300. What will happen? Whatever any resources added, it will be removed, and you will pay only for the period which you will use it. Then here you are not doing as we are doing in a data center. If I'm expecting that I will have 1,000 record in December, because I will announce discounts, then I have to make my infrastructure ready for 1,000 record, and this means that you are losing money. You are getting infrastructure just to use it in 1 month. But with the cloud rapid elasticity, it can increase all these automatically for you, and this means that you are saving your money. And this is one of the characteristics of the cloud computing. The other important characteristic, it is the measured service. Of course, the cloud service provider, we have to measure the service. Why? Measured service, it is very, very, very important. Why? Number one, pay as you go, or pay as you use. If you are using 1 processor, 2 processor, 3 processor, then we have to measure the used resources to pay for it. This number one. Number two, also for the service level agreement, when you have a cloud service, you have to mention for your cloud service provider, wait, I don't want the processor utilization to be more than 75%. If it's more than 75%, add another processor. I don't want the memory to be utilized more than 90%. If it's more than 90%, add additional process. I don't want the free space to be 25, to be less than 70%. If it is 70%, add additional 1 terabyte. Then this means that we have to measure your usage. Then they will fulfill your service level agreement as well. This will be very important. When the measured service pay as you go, fulfill the service level agreement, manage your logging, and so on. When we measuring the service, it is very important for the cloud service provider. The last point, the building block technologies. What is building block technologies? Just think about the resource pooling as a normal data center. Normal data center, it consists of servers, consists of switches, consists of load balancers, consists of GTM, consists of whatever any devices. Then all these building blocks, it will be available in the cloud, because by the end of the day, this cloud, it is a data center, but it is where it's located, it depends. You may know the location, or you may not know the location. In some situation, you will say, okay, gentlemen, I'm really sorry, I'm living in Saudi Arabia, my data should not go outside Saudi Arabia. Then they will tell you, okay, your data, it will be mainly hosted in Riyadh, which is the capital of Saudi Arabia. And if we face any problem with the data center, it will be moved into another data center in Jeddah, which is a different country, and there is around 900 kilometers distance between both of them. Then the building blocks, these are the blocks where you have to build your solution or your requirements from. It may be processors, it may be memory, it may be storage, it may be cloud service, load balancers, whatever. Then these are the characteristics of the cloud. It is very important for the exam. You have to understand this very clear. The exam, they are caring about these characteristics because these are the characteristics which will define the cloud. You have to understand this very clear. You may have some questions. These questions, it will not be direct questions. It will not ask you what is the cloud characteristics. It will give you a scenario, and you will say, okay, here. They will tell you, for example, you have an application. This application was very slow. You want to increase the performance, and when you make some measurement, you find that it is a memory problem, and so on. And this means that now we are utilizing two characteristics: measured service and resource pooling, and rapid elasticity as well at the same time. Then these are the types of questions which you may find from the ISC square. Any questions? Any questions? Still alive?
No, no questions.
Yeah, we are here.
Okay, good.
All good.
Yeah, it takes time for us to unmute the button.
Okay. I want to make sure that you're still alive.
Yeah, but it is really good how you're explaining. It's easy way. It's very easy to understand.
Okay, thank you. Okay, now we will speak about another important reference architecture. Again, one of the boring topics in the CCSP, but we will try to make it simple, very simple and very easy. Roles and responsibilities. It is very important. Again, you will find some questions related to this slide. For the cloud service customer, I think you know very well what is a cloud service now, customer. What are the roles and responsibilities? Cloud service user, cloud service administrator, cloud service business manager, and cloud service integrator. Who is the user? He is the one who is using the service. Thank you. Nothing less, nothing more. He is the operator, who is using the service. He is using the application. Who is the administrator? He is a person who administrates the service. He may add users, he may remove users, he may block users, he may, whatever the service administrator, he will administrate the service by adding user, remove user, adding additional services, whatever. Business manager, he is the business representative between the customer and the cloud service provider. He will be responsible maybe for contracts, for service level agreements, for payments, and so on. You will find the user is a normal user, operator. Administrator, he is responsible technically. Business manager, business, payment, contracts. The cloud service integrator, he will be responsible to integrate whatever any cloud service provider. You know, gentlemen, when I cannot remember who mentioned that he is working in hybrid clouds. What do you mean by hybrid clouds? You are using multiple clouds which they are integrated together in one infrastructure. Here we need the integrator. Here you need the integrator, because the integrator will be responsible for integrating the two services from the two different cloud service providers, or it may be a broker and a cloud service provider, and so on. Then he will integrate the service. Okay? These are the rules. Very simple. And when you read it in the book, you will hate your life, but I think now it is very simple. User, he is operator, administrator, he will manage the service. Technically, he will be responsible for it. Technically, business manager, he is a business interface with the cloud service provider. The integrator, he will be responsible for integrating the cloud service providers' services or broker services with the other cloud service providers. Any questions for the cloud service customer? Roles and responsibilities?
So can you explain again the business manager, cloud service business manager?
The business manager, he is the business role interaction between the cloud service customer and the cloud service provider. He will be responsible for agreements. He will be responsible for service level agreement. He will be responsible for contracts. He will be responsible for payments. He will be responsible for meetings and all this stuff. Then he will be, as what we can say, account manager. The account manager, but of course I cannot say account here because not account manager. Account manager, this it will be in the service provider who will deal with the business manager. But the business manager, he is a person or business person who is approaching the cloud service provider. Is it clear?
Yeah, so business manager is from customer, cloud service customer, right?
Yes, look here,
okay.
Look here. What is this? What we are saying here?
Okay, yeah, got it.
All these rules in cloud service customer. All these rules in cloud service customer. If we want to see the service rules in the provider, of course, I am quite sure now it will be more complicated. In the service customer, we have only 4, but in the service provider, this is their business. We will have a lot. What are they? Wow, we have 8 rules. Type. Cloud Service Operations Manager. He will be responsible for the daily operations. I think you are familiar with the operations. What is the operations? The operation, this is daily or day-to-day operations or tasks. Day-to-day operations or tasks. You have a network, you want to run the network, you want to service your customer. Some situation, user, he will want to change the password. Another user, his account is locked. He want to unlock it. Another user, he want to have an access for additional server, and so on. Then these are the operations. We have the infrastructure. You must have a person who is responsible to manage the operations of this infrastructure. Cloud Service Deployment Manager. Deployment here, with deployment, if you have a new service, new hardware, new application, and you want to install it, then the deployment here, gentlemen, is the moving of an application or service. It is a service. This service, it can be application or hardware, from development or from testing into production. When this is a new application or new hardware or new service, the deployment manager, he is responsible to take this application, test it in the development environment, test it in the testing environment. Then if it's okay and it fulfills the requirements and there is no problem, then he can install it in the production service. Cloud Service Manager. This is the manager for the cloud service. Of course, the cloud service provider, he provides many services. He can provide ES, he can provide SaaS, he can provide PaaS, he can provide a lot of services. Then the cloud service manager, he is responsible for these services. can be multiple service manager, it can be single manager, handle all these services. It depends upon the size of the service provider. Cloud service business manager, again, this is a business manager. He is responsible for selling the cloud service provider into cloud customers. He is responsible for selling the cloud service provider service to the cloud service customer. And of course, the cloud service business manager, he will communicate with the cloud service business manager of the cloud service customer. Yes, Brent.
So how do you, in a cloud service provider, since how do you actually distinguish between a service operations manager and a service manager? From a business manager, I understand it's all related towards contract and it's all about payments and other stuff from a cloud service provider. But in a cloud, I'm going to say, how do you distinguish between a service operations manager and service manager? Because the service manager could handle one of the services, he could handle multiple services. So how do you distinguish between these two roles?
Okay, you mean operation manager and service manager?
Yes.
Okay. Tell me, what is the scenario if you want to announce a new service as a cloud service provider?
Sorry, I didn't understand the question.
Now, you are working in cloud service provider and your manager, he came and he told you, we want to make a new service, a storage service for the users, like Box or iCloud or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
What will be the steps to deploy this service into your infrastructure, into your production? Number one, you have to make a design. You have to check the solution, how you want to do it. He want to sell storage. Then this means that we need storage, we need a network, we need interface, API for the storage, and we have to prepare the client interaction to the service and all this stuff. Then this means that we have to check the components of the storage. Components of the solution or components of the service. Then he have to contact the vendors and check what is the best solution. And he will provide the information or requirements for the providers or the partners. Then they make a design and he will check if it will fulfill the management requirements or not. If it will fulfill, then they will buy the service and they will install it. He will work with the deployment manager to install it. The service, it's up and running. Now we have to manage the service. Now we have to manage the service for the customers to provide them the service, right?
Yep.
All these steps are responsibility of the cloud service provider, cloud service manager, except the last one after the installation. After the service, it's up and running, all the daily operations, it will go to the operations manager. Service manager, he will not be responsible for assigning permissions for user to access storage. He will not be responsible to block or revoke permissions or add additional users or whatever. No, he is not responsible for that, because whatever the daily operations of the service, this it will be under operations manager. But when the operation manager will say, hey, gentlemen, you provide me 100 terabyte. Let me finish what I want to say. You provide me 100 terabyte, and now the 100 terabyte, I consume 90 terabyte out of it. When we may be out of capacity, and we may need to add it. Then he have to communicate the cloud service manager. He have to buy additional service. The cloud service manager, he have to work very close with the vendors. Then they provide the additional memory in additional storage into the operation manager. When the operation manager, he will be responsible for the daily operation, but for the components and the design of the service and all this stuff, it will be the cloud service manager responsibility. Is it okay?
I have a question here, Mr. Osama.
Sure.
You mentioned the data operation and the cloud service manager who want to deploy one service, like you mentioned, storage. But what about the deployment manager? Isn't he involved also in the example that you have mentioned now?
Of course, I
Because he
said the
will
cloud
deploy.
service manager, he must communicate and work very close with the deployment manager to implement the new hardware which he received from the provider or from the partner in the test environment, make sure that it will fulfill the requirements and it is matching the policies and procedures. Then after they make sure that it's fulfill their needs, then the deployment manager, they have to install it in production, and the responsibility of this device, it will go to the operations manager after that.
Okay, here for the service operation manager, if he like exceeds the capacity or any other thing he want to add, he will communicate with the cloud service manager or the deployment manager that he will ask for.
No,
because
cloud
he will
service
deploy-
manager.
Cloud service manager.
Yes, deployment manager, he is responsible only for moving from development or testing into production. To make it life easy, he will be responsible to move from testing or development into production.
Okay, and if a new deployment or a new release or a new enhancement, it will be on cloud service deployment manager, and then he will give it to operation.
Yes, you are right.
Thank you.
With the approval of the service manager.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, approval of service manager. Okay, any other questions? Okay, then the other role is customer support and care representative. This is very easy. Someone who will be responsible for service desk, for example. I have a problem, I'm not able to access the storage, we have to call someone he will service desk. The service desk must have representatives, must have a manager, and so on. Enter cloud provider. If you have multiple clouds or multiple services and you need to have integration between the cloud service provider. Here, do you remember when I told you in Saudi Arabia, for example, we have some services which are managed or installed in cloud service providers and they are not installed in others, then these others, it will communicate with this other service provider to get these services integrated into their infrastructure. They don't want to pay too much money, then they will get these services from other service provider, this which we call it inter-cloud provider. Cloud service security and risk manager, this is very important. He will study the security of the cloud infrastructure and what are the risks which it can threaten their network. This is very important, and we will speak about risk management later. This person, his own job, it is responsibility to understand the service and what are the risks which it will threaten the network and what will be the controls which they need to install. It may be encryption, it may be SSL, it may be firewalls, it may be IPS, whatever the security controls which they need to have. Finally, network provider, who is providing the network. This, it can be internal or external. It can be internal network where all the devices are connected, or it may be external network for communication. I need the communication line to be connected to the internet. I need MPLS connection. I need whatever. It may be internal or external cloud network connectivity for the cloud service provider. Any questions related to the cloud service provider roles and responsibilities? Okay. In a cloud service partner, as we mentioned, as a partner, he will be helpful for the customer or the provider to provide their service or to achieve their service. And as you can see, the cloud auditor, we know this, he will be responsible for audit service. Cloud service broker, he will be provide additional services to the cloud service partner or cloud service developer, where he will develop some applications or services for the service partner. And for example, I want an application to print invoices. I don't have application to print invoices, but I have another company, it's my partner, and they have a team who can develop this application for me. And then they will work as a cloud service developer, and they will develop this application for me, and this application, it will send invoices to my customers. Then this is an example of the cloud service developer. Auditor, of course, you know it, we explain it, and the cloud service broker, we explain it as well. Then these are the roles and responsibilities, although they are very boring in the book, but now I think it's easy and you can catch it. Even if you are not feeling 100% that you are catch it, that's fine, no problem, it's normal. Please listen to the video again. Listen to the video again. You will be able to catch it, because of course you will not be able to catch all the information during the session. Your concentration, it's not 100%. No one you will be able to catch everything. Then if you feel that you got it 50 or 70%, that's fine. The other percentage, it will be completed when you attend this video again. And of course, when I'm saying this, it's not mean that before attending the exam. I mean today or tomorrow. Yani, you have to run these videos and watch it very quickly. This I know it, bypass it. I know this, bypass it. This it was not very clear. Then let me listen it. When the 2 hours, it will, you find that it will be only 30 minutes. But this it will be very important, because if you have any questions, you can ask it before starting the new session, and you will make sure that you understand all the topics before going further in other topics. Okay.
I want to say something here, Mr. Osama.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Our session is Saturday, Sunday, Monday, right?
Yes.
Okay, I think this is like, it will be an issue for us to study it because we all working. So if tomorrow come, we will not be able to review these videos. So can we make it like one day, yani Saturday, then?
Yeah, unfortunately, I will not be able to change the schedule now, because first thing, we are stuck to the people who are living in America. We are now 11 a.m. And 11 a.m., this means that we are in working hours when we have to do it on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. The second thing, I already reserved another course for the ISO 27001 in February, and this it will be the other 3 days, and this schedule is already fixed. Then unfortunately, I will not be able to change any schedule. But now, as you mentioned, I will not be able to review it because I have the 3 days and I don't have the time. That's fine. Even if you review it in the after the 3 days, that's fine. Okay, yani, because I don't think that you will forget the information totally. But what I want to say, I don't want to say, okay, after we finish the course, I will attend the videos. No, this is not the right thing. But I want you, before coming to the next week, at least to understand the week before.
Yeah, okay.
Okay? Right.
Sir, if you could just go back to the previous slide, I have a question. Yeah, on the one question on the cloud service broker, I think which we were discussing earlier. So there is also one more terminology called as the CASB, Cloud Access Service Broker.
No. CASB, it's a tool. It's not a rule. It's a tool.
Okay.
It's totally different. It's a tool. CASB, it's a tool. And this it's used for monitor the applications, monitor the applications exchange between the cloud service provider and the cloud customer. Is it matching the policies and rules? And it can take some actions. It can be a part of zero trust and so on. We will cover this later.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. The last topic which we will discuss today, the cloud service capabilities. Cloud service capabilities. What is the cloud service capabilities? We have three main capabilities, but as you can see later, we will cover this tomorrow. We have other capabilities, but mainly the service capabilities are the infrastructure service capability, where the cloud service provider, he will be able to provide you with infrastructure, hardware, it may be servers, it may be network, it may be load balancer, and so on, or platform service capability, where he can provide you infrastructure for developing, where he will provide you programming language, he will provide you with database, he will provide you with running libraries and so on. Then you can develop your application and you can utilize this application in your company or organization. And finally, the software service capability, which it will provide you the software as a service. You will not be responsible for anything. You will not ask him for a server. You will ask him for an application. As you are doing 360 subscription, you are not asking him for a server. You are telling him, please give me 360 subscription. Or if you are looking to box.com or iCloud and you want the storage, you have to log into the storage and you will say to him, I want, but the storage, it is not a service, it's not a software. But the software, it is as Office 365 or Salesforce. Salesforce is one of the popular CRM applications or and so on. Then the capabilities, you have three different capabilities: the infrastructure, hardware, platform, programming, software as an application. These are the service capabilities. As we will see later, it will be totally different. Why? This slide, I like it very much. I like it very much because it will resolve whatever any conflict you have in your mind. Now, let's concentrate on on-premise part. You have networking, you have storage, you have servers, you have virtualization software, you have operating systems, you have middleware software, you have runtime applications, you have data, you have applications. All these components under your responsibility. You have to provide all this information, components in the data center in your organization. Okay? Fine. If we are speaking about the infrastructure service capability, what is it? It's a little bit different. You remember when we mentioned that the infrastructure, it is hardware, then what the cloud service provider, he will provide you and he will be responsible for. He will provide you the network, storage, servers, virtualization. That's it. When it will start from installing operating systems, applications, data, so on, so it's your responsibility. When the cloud service provider in the infrastructure, he will provide you the network, the storage, servers, visualization. He will tell you, you have a server, 1 terabyte RAM, 10 terabyte storage, 5 processor. Thank you very much. We really appreciate. What is operating system? I don't know. Then you have to put your operating system, you have to put your application, you have to put your data, and so on. When it will come to the platform, which is responsible for developing some application, the cloud service provider, he will provide you all the information in the infrastructure, plus the operating system, middleware, runtime. He will install the operating system. He will give you some libraries. He will provide you the language, programming language. You will start to use this to create, to develop the application, and of course your data. This it will be the responsibility of the user or the cloud service customer. He will be responsible to provide this information. Finally, when we come to the software, the cloud service provider will be responsible for everything. He has to provide the hardware, he has to provide the application, he has to provide the data, everything. Of course, the data, it's your data, but it is under the cloud service infrastructure. Then you will find that in the SaaS that the cloud service provider, he will be responsible for everything. What you have to do to ask him, please, can you provide me 360 subscription. He will tell you, please pay $10 per month. You will pay it, open the browser, Office 365, type your username and password, that's it, you are in, and you can use the Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and whatever. You don't care about storage, you don't care about servers, you don't care about anything, because this is under the responsibility of the cloud service provider. He having these things in America, he have it in Europe, he have it in Middle East, I don't care. Any questions?
No, this is good one. But my question is, how do you remember it? Sometimes you forget, all this diagram and the content.
This diagram, I don't want to memorize anything of them.
Okay.
I don't want to memorize anything of them.
Okay.
Just this to explain you the concept. That's
Okay.
By the way, this slide, it is not in CCSP. This slide, it's from other courses, but I put it here to give you the concept. But this is, we will never ask you that what are the hardware we have to provide, networking, storage, servers. No way. The only information which I want to understand in infrastructure, we will provide you the hardware, platform, hardware plus developing infrastructure. Software, everything. That's it. Thank you very much. I really appreciate this. Is what I want you to understand or to know.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I think it's we reached almost 10. We will not be able to finish this slide because it's consists of a lot of information. I prefer to make it tomorrow. Then please, do you have any questions? Do you have any questions?
No, I think we are good. We can review today, and any questions we can discuss tomorrow.
Okay, excellent. What about the others?
I had one question. So
Sure.
I think you will be sending the YouTube link, right?
Yes.
Because we have
Yes.
subscribed it. Okay. Second thing is that to our email IDs, and second thing is I think on that spreadsheet, that Excel sheet which you are sharing,
Yes.
so that we can just have our dates and then
Excel sheet. You may receive it immediately now because I am open the cloud, the WhatsApp here. You need a file. This file, it's under the templates. I will send it to you on the WhatsApp.
okay.
You have it on the WhatsApp now. Just
Okay.
download it and you can able to work with. The recordings, I'm not sure if I will be able to do it today because now it's 10 p.m. in Saudi Arabia. Usually to download the video and upload it on YouTube, it will take 2 hours. Then I will do my best that I will be able to upload it to you tomorrow morning.
Okay, no problem.
Okay. Any other questions?
No, not from my side.
Okay.
All good for me, but one last question, Mr. Osama, about the book that you have referring to studying. Can you mention it again? Is it CCSP all-in-one or
Yes,
which one?
yes, but take care. Third version, not second.
Yeah. The guy shared it with me already.
Oh, yeah. Prem, he have a copy of it. Yes.
Yeah.
Third one, because I found that they add some additional information, which is really, I don't know if it's important for the exam, but it is very useful for you to understand. I will cover this. I will tell you what are the additional information they added in the third edition. Okay. Thank you very much. I hope that it was interesting. And I'm looking forward to see you tomorrow, inshallah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take
Good
care,
night.
everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Good night.